We're tired of the lies from the Democratic Party in Delaware. Joe Biden doesn't do nothing here. I live on East 28th Street, right across the street from the projects. I have never seen Joe Biden a day in my life, never. To come to Delaware and do anything. It's lies. It's all lies. What is he going? 4 years. Donald Trump's been in office for 4 years, cleaning up their mess for over hundreds of years. It's not his fault. This is their politicians. This is the change. Donald Trump is the change for us.
That's right.
For the people. And what they need to know.
Hello, everyone. Where is Nancy Pelosi? The House is in recess. House and Senate Democrats left town after failing to compromise and make a deal to provide relief to the American people. While Nancy Pelosi and her colleagues went home, this president remained hard at work. President Trump took executive action, including stopping evictions, providing unemployment insurance, pausing student loan payments, cutting the payroll tax, which put money in the pockets of all Americans. Democrats apparently were unable to stick around to make a deal. Now, suddenly, Democrats will be rushing back to Washington. But why? The answer? The United States Postal Service. It's a stunning turn of events. Democrats went home after accomplishing nothing. No deal on stimulus checks, no deal on small business relief, no deal on eviction protections. The concerns of everyday Americans were not the concerns of Democrats on Capitol Hill. So where is Nancy Pelosi? She and her Democrat colleagues will be back in Washington soon to pursue their latest manufactured crisis, the Postal Service. Democrats denied a $10 billion offer for the U.S. Postal Service by this president before they went on recess. But now they're back to pursue the latest Democrat-manufactured crisis. It's sad, but it's clear where Democrats' priorities stand. And with that, I'll take questions. John.
Kaylee, looking ahead to potential action at the United Nations, will the president dispatch the Secretary of State to go to the UN to invoke the snapback clause on sanctions?
Yeah, so I have no announcements and I won't get ahead of the president, but what I will say is the president has said that he will be willing to invoke the snapback option soon, and I'll leave that to him. Yes.
Kelly, the president said this week the only way we lose this election is if the election is rigged. It begs the question, does the president believe there's any circumstance under which he could lose the election fairly?
The president believes he's done a great job for the American people, and he believes that will show in November. He believes that voter fraud is real, in line with what we see all across the country, particularly with mail-in ballots, which are prone to fraud.
Yes. Thanks very much, Kaylee. Two questions for you. Firstly, given the president's tweet on Goodyear and lashing out at them, is the Beast still going to be using Goodyear tires?
I'm not going to comment on security matters.
Okay, and then I want to follow up with a question that I asked the president last week, but he didn't answer. I asked him about QAnon, so I wanted to know, have you ever heard the president talk about QAnon, and what does he think of the conspiracy theory?
No, I've never heard of that. There's a lot of media focus on that, but certainly never heard of that from the president. Yes.
Kaylee, just to follow up on what my colleague said over there with regard to the president saying make sure to get out and vote because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Is the president saying if he doesn't win this election that he will not accept the results unless he wins?
The president has always said he'll see what happens and make a determination in the aftermath. It's the same thing he said last November. He wants a free election, a fair election, and he wants confidence in the results of the election, particularly when you have states like Nevada doing mass mail-out voting to their voting rolls. And when they tried this in the primary, it was a massive failure. Ballots were piled up in trash cans. Ballots were pinned to apartment dartboards. And with that being the system, the president wants to take a hard look at this and make sure that these are fair election results and not subject to fraud. Yes.
Can you tell us if the White House has reached out to Pelosi or the Democrats to talk over the next couple of days about stimulus?
Yeah, so I have no updates on the personal conversations that we've been having, but what I'll say is this, is I know the Speaker is interested in potentially a skinny bill with post office funding, but what we want here at the White House is we're certainly open to post office funding. We did, after all, offer that $10 billion that was turned down, so we're open to that, but what we want to see in there is relief for the American people who are hurt through no fault of their own. For unemployed Americans, we want to see enhanced unemployment insurance. PPP, we want to see small businesses get taken care of. That money goes directly to payroll, so to pay workers and thus keep jobs. And we're interested in seeing stimulus checks go out to the American people as well.
On the post office, are you able to share if if the White House is open to the $25 billion that the Democrats are proposing, or is $10 billion the cap?
No, we don't have a cap. We're certainly open to looking at the $25 billion, but we want included in there relief for the American people that thus far Speaker Pelosi has been entirely uninterested in, as this president has taken unilateral action to protect Americans subject to eviction, to protect Americans who are unemployed, to protect Americans via a tax cut through payroll deferral. So this president's taken action. Still, we're waiting on a reckless Speaker Pelosi to get back and do her job.
They want to cancel you, totally cancel you, take your job, turn your family against you for speaking your mind, while they indoctrinate your children with twisted worldviews that nobody ever thought possible. A lot of people got rich and got powerful at your expense. Now, these same liberal hypocrites want to open up borders and let violent mobs rule the streets while they live in Waldorf compounds and communities. They want to defund police while hiring private security. They want to let rioters burn churches while jailing you for praying in your church. They want to abolish school choice while sending their children to the best private schools in the land. They want to cancel you, totally cancel you, take your job, turn your family against you for speaking your mind, while they indoctrinate your children with twisted worldviews that nobody ever thought possible. You notice they're not knocking down statues and monuments anymore, because when I saw what was happening, I took an old law and I signed a nice new executive order. And then I explained, 10 years if you knock down a statue, federal statue or monument. And they were all set to march on Washington. We're going to knock down some nice statues. And then they said, you know what? Let's not march. The march ended very quickly. There was no more marching. They said, 10 years, that's a long time. That's a long time to knock over a statue that many people love and many people don't. And there's a way of getting it down. You do it through a legal process. It'll go quickly if it's right. Joe Biden is the candidate of these privileged liberal hypocrites who hold you and your values in disdain. But you can send them all a thundering message on Election Day by voting for Trump Pence. Do we love our vice president? Do we love our vice president? I'll tell you. I watched Kamala last night, and I said, I'll take Mike. I'll take Mike by a lot. He's been a great vice president, actually. Pennsylvania is the state that gave us the Declaration of Independence. Valley Forge, Gettysburg, and generations of American patriots, just like you. You're patriots. You love this country. That's why you're here. You're sitting in this boiling, crazy hot sun. But you're smarter than me, because with you, it's on the back of your head. With me, I'm going to go home, and my wife is going to say, what happened? You look like a lobster. Look at the sun. This is great.